Hello, hello. Okay, first off, sound check. Tell me if you can hear me. Say hello. I need to know that we are connected and I can see you. I can see you. I need to be able to, yes, I need to know. So say hi. Um, I have two screens, so I'm just gonna try and set it up so maybe I'll see your comments in the other screen. I don't know. Okay, I see Johnny, Terry, Pam, loud and clear. Very cool. Hello. Hi, everybody. I am super excited to have you here. I'm super excited to be here. This is the first live from my new studio. I hope this is all going to work fine. The setup is a little bit different, so I might be like looking for things right in the middle of the way, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get through it just fine. All right, y'all, let me know who is a complete beginner. Do I have complete beginners? And do I have people who never ever painted with me before? Let me know. Who do I have here? Beginner. Hold on. Sorry. Double screen. Double screen does that so that I have to have two screens so that I can see your names, because I'm broadcasting through StreamYard and it requires permission. Like, you have to give Facebook permission to display your name on StreamYard. And so on my side, all the group comments say Facebook user. So I do not have, so I have to have two screens so that I can read your comments. Okay, I have Justin, who said first timer, but have painted before. Johnny said not a beginner, but have not painted with you before. Cynthia's painting with me for the first time. Amazing. Kathy's new. Very cool. Very cool. We have a good crowd. Pam as a first timer. Okay, lots of new people painting with me tonight. I'm super excited. Super, super excited. Willow from Minnesota, first time. Wonderful. Okay, so we're painting this happy dude tonight. Isn't my name right? Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I did. I butcher people's names all the time. Doesn't help to have my accent. It's kind of hard sometimes. Some words can be hard. First time for Stephanie. Just going to watch, never painted acrylics. That's a good approach. That's a good approach. I do that very often. I just watch and then I paint. I want to get the grasp of what's going on. What are we doing here exactly? Okay, so again, we're painting Spring Gnome. All the supplies, the supply list is in the guides. I hope you could find it. Also in there, you can find the tracer. Now, I'm going to be painting freehand. I don't need the tracer for this one. Sometimes I would use a tracer for a Facebook Live lesson just because it helps to speed things up a little bit. Yeah. Hi, Cindy. And so, what was I going to tell you? Okay, so if you're not comfortable painting freehand, just go ahead, grab the tracer, put this on your canvas or whatever surface you're painting on and use it. This is very, very doable. It might look complicated, but there's like a lot of layers of things going on top of other things and other things that will allow you to complete the painting without a tracer if you do not want to do it. All right, now I'm going to switch the camera to my desk. It's going to take a couple of steps. Here, that's my desk. And my desk is going to be a full view so that you guys can see it all. I am going to, so as I said, you guys, I will have to look back for your comments. So if you have a question, please ask, because and then give me some time to look back at my computer, because at the moment, whoops, dropped something. At the moment, the way my setup is that my computer's behind me. I haven't figured that part out yet. All right. Okay, who's ready to paint? So, my big chair. All right, that was me landing in my chair. Okay, here we go. So here's my reference. Here's my painting. Reference is not gonna sit there where I need it, but that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna start with the background and everything. Let's talk colors super quick. For the background, we're gonna need white, quinacridone magenta, phthalo blue, yellow ochre, and a flat brush. Okay, you feel free to replace colors or substitute colors. Feel free. Okay, don't think like don't think that you have to follow step by step. I really like when people show their creativity, and sometimes all you need is just a beginning, point, and then you can just take it and like add things or not put certain things in the painting and make it your own. Makes me very happy when people do that. Okay, so yellow ochre, phthalo blue, quinacridone magenta, and I'm putting some white on there. On this plate, and a touch of black. We're not gonna need black for the background though, so you know what, let's not put black on because it will just dry. I don't like paint when it dries. All right, so first step is to wake up your canvas. If you're painting on a canvas or a canvas board, what happens is that it dries up super dry when it sits in storage, and so then when you start painting, it just soaks up your paint, and you end up using a lot more paint than you need to. So I really like to use this is ultra fine mist spray. You can find it in any craft store or art store. There's also like small spray bottles that are great. If you don't have anything like that, just grab a brush, put some water on it, and just brush a little bit of water on your painting surface so that it will wake up a little bit and you won't have to use as much paint to cover up the background and all of that. I don't like wasting paint, so that's what I do. Okay. All right. Now this is like a 3/4 inch. I don't think this is a good size for this size of painting. I have a 16 by 20 here roughly. So I'm gonna grab my 2-inch chip brush for this because I really do not want to take forever to just paint the background. Yeah. Okay. So here's my flat brush. Make it wet. Take the excess off on the paper towel. Grab mostly white, a little bit of phthalo blue, and just start putting in your background. So I really like to paint in mixed media pads, especially for classes. because then I don't end up with a gazillion of canvases that I don't know what to do with. And so online lessons, you will see me doing this a lot using mixed media pad. I'm adding a little bit more of phthalo blue in the middle just to get some color variation to the sky. We're just gonna stretch it, okay? Doesn't need to be anything super complicated. Okay, now I've painted probably about a half of it. You can take it lower if you like. It's your choice where you're gonna have your horizon line. Okay, so in my in the reference, the horizon line is kind of lower. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, this pink line right here. It's kind of lower a little bit, and I think I'm gonna put it a little bit up higher this time. But you know, you can bring it lower, you can bring it higher. Most of this background is going to be covered with a tree anyway, so it's completely and totally up to you. Okay, so if you're adding pink at this moment, rinse your brush, dry it on the paper towel a little bit, grab gazillion, like load it up on white, grab a touch of quinacridone magenta, and we're just gonna do the same stretch as we did with blue. We're just gonna do that with pink. Again, if you want to change your colors, if you want to make a purple sky, a green sky, whatever sky you want to make, go for it. Okay, I absolutely love this. This is gorgeous. I need more white. I'm just going to wipe my brush on the paper towel because it's really not that messy. And I'm going to load it up on white again. And now I'm going to grab some of the yellow ochre just on the brush. Okay, just like that. And we're just going to do the same thing with the bottom. If your brush is dragging, like my brush now was dragging completely, yeah, if your brush was dragging, you can just grab a little bit more water, put some more water on it, and you'll be fine. Okay, if you're painting a canvas and you like to paint your sides, now would be a good time just to make sure that your sides are matching. Not everybody likes to paint their sides. Sometimes people do, sometimes people don't. So do as your heart tells you. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow ochre here and there, especially like on the sides where later I'm gonna have flowers there, so it's gonna help to have a little bit more texture under. Okay. All right, there we go. And this is our background. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. I decided to grab another something to just get the water out of brushes, so it's not all just on paper towels. Okay. All right, so rinse out your brush and squeeze it with a paper towel so that you can reuse it. Okay, I always tell everybody to not leave their brushes in the water. The water will destroy your brushes. You do not want that. Okay, looks like everybody's doing okay. I don't see any questions. Let me know. All right, don't be shy. Okay, so if you would like to use the tracer, now would be a good time to put it on. Well, first let it dry completely, okay? And then you can put the tracer on here. Or, let's just do it freehand. We can totally do this freehand. So the first thing we're gonna, the second thing really, the second thing after the background, we're gonna paint the tree. So the tree has 4 roots that we can see that go out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're gonna use this to help us shape the tree. Okay? So we need to make brown. To make brown, we're gonna use quinacridone magenta, yellow ochre, and phthalo blue. So all these 3 colors that we have here, we're gonna mix them all together. And I forgot to grab my palette knife. Hold on. So if you have a palette knife, I strongly recommend you use it when you're mixing your paints. Because then, here I have this tiny one, that's perfect. Because then, when you mix your paints with just with your brush, your paints kind of clog the brush, and then what happens is that you're wasting your paint because you will have to rinse out the brush, right? If you're using a palette knife, though, you won't end up wasting as much paint. Okay, so if you're mixing and your mix is more on the green side, it means that you need to add some more magenta to this. Yeah, so mine is like a super pretty color. I love this color. I don't know what it's called, but it's not brown for sure. So I'm just gonna put a generous amount of quinacridone magenta into this to bring it to where I want it. It's not quite where I want it. I'm gonna add some yellow ochre to it now. If you'd rather use your brown and your like sienna brown or whatever, go ahead and do that. This is very bizarre, though, because I have notes on what colors I used to mix that brown, and this is not anywhere close. Okay, I hope you guys got all the colors I told you to get. I'm gonna add some of the cadmium red. I'm pretty sure it'll take me where I want to be eventually. Yes. I wonder if I forgot to put it in my notes that I added some of the red to this. Yeah, see? Now it's brown. Now we're talking. All right. Let me know who's mixing colors. Burnt umber is okay. Yes, it's your choices, okay? It's your painting. Like if it makes a kind of a darker brown, yeah, if it's a darker brown, just go for it. It's fine. Okay. So this is super thick, so I'm just gonna water it down a little bit. And I'm going to use my round brush. So the trick to this, to the irregular lines, if you have a tracer, you can just fill in the tree with brown and not even worry about it, right? But those of us who are not using the tracer, here's what we're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to hold your brush on at the wrong tip over here, okay? Not by the brush, not right here, but all the way up here, right here, okay? And as you draw your lines, you're gonna drag it up, and you're gonna twirl the brush between your fingers, swirl, okay? And go up. So let me show you what I mean. We're gonna start with the first root. That's gonna be somewhere here, and it goes up. So it's gonna start right here, and I'm just gonna start twirling and growing the tree, okay? The second root is kind of coming out of here. Then another one is coming somewhere out of here. And then the last one is kind of somewhere here. So see, we already have an outline for the tree. Sherry says, hi, I'm just watching this time. Also, never really painted anything before. There is nothing wrong with that. Cynthia says, okay, so I have, oh, Jody, hi, I almost missed your comment. Hi, haven't seen your line in like forever, right? Okay. Let me catch up on the comments. I cheated and used brown paint. Nothing wrong with that. Not mixing. Big bottle of brown. As I said, nothing wrong with that. I just find it to be a lot of fun. But yeah, you don't have to share my amusement with color mixing. Okay, so then we need to connect them. So again, twirly motion. Just connect, okay? It doesn't need to be perfect. It's fine, because guess what? The gnome sits right in the middle here. So we're just painting the background for Mr. Gnome here. Probably a bit lower over here on this side. Yeah, so I have all my lines here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab like a maybe 3/4 flat brush or something like that, and just fill it all in with brown paint. All right, should be doable. So happy to have you back live again, says Lori. Yay! Me too. Okay, a little bit more water, and I have this brush, and I'm just gonna grab my paint and pretty much go and follow these kind of interesting lines that I created with the round brush. I think these lines are super cool, and they really resemble the lines that you will see on the tree bark. Okay, just keep swimming, right? Just fill it all in. It's pretty much your base coat for the tree. It's all good. And yeah, I try to paint bigger sizes while I'm teaching you guys, because when I paint a smaller size, I go pretty fast. And I noticed that it's hard for people to keep up, right? And so that's why I paint something bigger so that it's easier for you guys. It makes me slow down. More area to cover, right? But it doesn't mean that you guys should have to paint, canvas 6 by 12, 20, or like 16 by 20, or 2 by 3 feet or whatever every single time you try to paint. That is absolutely not necessary. So the paint is dragging, which tells me that my brush is super wet, dry. Let's try again. There, much better. And sometimes you have to put your brush on the side. So instead of painting flat like this, you paint on the side, and then that helps you with your lines a lot. Okay, mistake. My mistake here. So this is the horizon line. My root of the tree is above the horizon line. That's not gonna work. That doesn't make any sense. I'm just gonna bring it down to the ground. Oh yeah, sometimes. I'm glad I got it now, not later, because sometimes I'll catch that when I'm all done and I'm like, oh no. All right. Okay, so we have a tree. Judy says, I think last we were together, you were in Texas and I was visiting with my family in Minnesota. I had only color pencils for my pictures. Oh yeah, I remember that. I loved them though. You did very well with them. You did very, very well with them. All right, so if you have your tree, go ahead and grab a little bit of black. Add some black to your palette now. We do not want to overwhelm it, but we want to add a little bit of texture, especially if you're painting on the bigger size. If your painting is on the smaller size, then you can get away with it, But for a bigger size, we want to add a little bit of something in the tree, because trees are not flat, obviously. And so, as you see, I'm just randomly add some black. Okay? And then I'm going to wipe my brush on the paper towel. So take off most of that off and just kind of go up and down on the trunk. Okay, and then follow direction of the root and just add a little bit of darker something to your tree. It's good, like it's like you're shading. Yeah. That is your shading. All right. I'm rinsing out my brush, and I'm gonna use my heat gun here. You can also use a blow dryer. But yeah, I'm gonna use the heat gun to dry my painting because otherwise it's all gonna start pulling on itself. Okay? Okay, hold on, my cords got tingled somewhere. Of course. Yes, if you could put a table on something, you would always put it on top of a cord of something that you're gonna need, right? That's how it works here for me. Okay, got my cords out. All right, it might be a little noisy, but the heat gun is not super noisy, so here we go. Can you tilt the canvas? Yes, I can. I think it's shiny, right? It's too shiny. Hold on, let me try and do something else for you guys. Let me dry it because it's all wet, then it's glaring. Black is always hard to show on brown, especially when they're both wet. Okay, let's see. See if I can manage to show you. Obviously, I don't want any wet paint on my clothes, so let me see. How about this? Does it show color? Can you see? How's that? Yes, look, like at this angle, you can see where I put the black. Yeah, it's really random. I really didn't give it any much thought at all because this is really like paint as you want kind of thing, you know? Okay, was that helpful at all? Okay. All right, let's see. Are we still? Is it still wet? Kind of. Of course, my. Okay. I know. I just said that I like to paint on on paper, but still, I just ordered some canvases, 16 by 20s. I don't know. I can't decide if I like not having a lot of canvases to keep or if I don't know. I can't decide. How do you guys store your canvases? What do you do with them once you get over 10? What do you do with them? Okay, I keep drying. Okay, much better. Much better. Much, much, much better. Judy said I invited my sister. Hope she loves you too. Aww, thank you. Lori says I hang some of my canvases on the wall in my craft room, but I bought a pad similar to yours to use as an art journal. Yeah. Yes, I noticed that I run out of wall space way too fast. Before I moved, I gave lots of my paintings to my neighbors. Um, I don't know. Mine looks like a big chicken foot. Well, you know what? If you look at mine, yeah, kind of there. I don't think mine looks any different than a chicken foot. You can like add a little piece here, and that's a chicken foot. You know, maybe it would make maybe make the 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 trunk a little bit fatter. You know, because then it would be different proportions than like a chicken foot. Okay. All right, you guys. Let's get on to it, right? So our next thing is to outline the gnome. If you have the tracer, just put it on if that's what you want. Make sure this is dry. Put your tracer on, trace it, and then kind of follow, right? Follow the best you can. Now I'm going to show you how you can just paint it without a tracer, freehand. It's a lot of fun. And so I use gray paint for that. It helps block the brownness of the tree. Like I don't like it. Like sometimes, uh, sometimes you see people like painting piece by piece, like color by number thing. And like you have to kind of squeeze in this little piece and like make it this kind of right shade, and all of that drives me nuts. I prefer to layer. Okay, let's mix up some decent gray. So black and white together makes gray, right? Nothing. All right. So also, if you're using the palette knife, make sure to clean it after every use so that it's ready to go when you need it to go next time. Okay. Too funny, chicken foot. Make it a little fatter and yummy. Drumstick. Let's make drumstick. Who wants gnomes? Let's make drumstick. Okay. So here's how I do this. I use a smaller flat brush and I use gray paint. Okay. So I like to start, like for me, the center of this gnome, you're gonna laugh, the center of this whole gnome is his nose. To me, this is where it all starts when I sketch. Okay, so to me, like to figure out the size for everything, I think, okay, so the nose is roughly, that's the 2/3 going horizontal, right? And the half goes vertical. So I would eyeball and I would think, okay, 2/3 here on my canvas, right? And then vertical. So the nose probably would be somewhere around here. Okay, so that's the nose. His feet right here, they would be here and there somewhere, right? And then the hat goes up and the beard is somewhere here. So that's one way to do it. Another way, sometimes I build them from the bottom up. So I would start with the feet Oh, I just dragged some brown paint around. I thought I dried it. So I would start with some feet and then I would build it up. Yeah. Sometimes I do it with chalk and sometimes I would just do it with gray paints. Let's go and do it and let's have some fun with it. Ready? This is gonna be fun. So in my reference, I don't like the bird is really into the end of the painting, like it's way to the side. So I'm gonna scooch my gnome to the left a little bit. So I'm going to grab a little bit of gray paint, find my spot for his nose, right? That's the center. So I'm gonna scooch it a little bit over to the side so that I have room for the bird. And I'm just gonna paint an oval for the nose. The trick with this is the size and proportions, because sometimes you can get like, you're kind of doing it and then you realize that, oh, those are giant feet. Right? So there's a nose. And so that's going to be 1 foot and the other. So to start 1 foot, let me put a little bit of water on here because it's dragging. The paint is dragging. It's trying. It's probably because the furnace is running. Paint is drying so fast. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the number 8. Yeah? Here to the side with the number 8, and the top of the number is gonna be slightly bigger than the bottom, like that. Everybody can paint a number 8, right? Okay. And then the other foot over to the side. Also start with a bigger top and a smaller bottom. That's our other number 8. And then we're going to smooth them out just like so. See? And then paint them in. Block all of that color underneath. And then smooth this one out. And I am picking up a little bit of brown, but I am not concerned about it because the bottoms of his shoes are going to be painted black. So it's all going to be fine. There we go. And we have 2 ghost feet. Too much fun. All right. Okay, now, next step is his hat. I kind of like to do it like this. Look, it's like it goes over the nose, plops over, goes up and around, and plops over and over the nose again. See what I did here? Yeah. And then the next stack kind of goes up. You don't want to put it too close to, so you kind of make a step over here. Okay, and you go up, and then you kind of making a hill and down to just connect. And then the next one again, you want to step and you go up all the way down. And then the tip goes from here. It's like a little triangle from here and to here. And we have the outlined hat. Okay. Sometimes when you do this, it makes sense to grab a bigger brush to just be able to fill in the things a little bit faster and with fewer strokes, fewer losses of time, so to speak. See, so the big brush, you just fill in the lines. You're not going to lose them. If your strokes are meeting the right directions, you will still be able to see what you're doing. Okay? Okay, I'm going to wash out my little brush because I'm not going to use it with this grape right now. So, and acrylics dries fast, and so, save your brushes. Save your brushes. Okay. So the next is this little outline over here. So his elbow kind of sticks out a little bit. He's like a, little fat man. I think, yeah. And then, so that's his elbow. And that's his hand right here. Just like that. And it's just a sketch, right? It's fine. And then, of course, we're going to need his beard that will go all the way down. And I am going to paint this whole area also gray, because obviously we cannot see the tree behind him, right? So I'm pretty much creating the canvas to paint the rest. Yeah. And on his sleeve. And his hand will go there. All right, so if you were using the tracer, if you're just using the tracer, all you need to do is just pretty much paint this whole dude gray. Okay? All right, rinsing my brush. And a sip of water. How's everybody doing? Pam says tilt. Can't see elbow tilt. Okay, hold on. Okay. Oh, sorry, sneeze. Oh my goodness. Y'all, it's not a Facebook Live if I don't sneeze. It's like a bad joke now, for real. Okay, there you go. Like that. Does this help? That's his elbow right here. I can't see right now who was asking about the elbow. That's his elbow right here. And that's his arm. And that's where his hand will be right here. Okay? All right, let's dry this. He's sitting under a tree. Under and on, kind of. Like on top of the roots. Okay. All righty. So as I look at mine, and you may have a different situation, but as I look at mine, I can still see the tree showing up, right? Quite a bit. And so I know from painting before that if I just let this be, then when I'm painting, when it's all done, like this part of a gnome will look darker than this part of the gnome. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of this gray paint and I'm gonna put another coat of gray. If you don't have this problem, just bear with me while I'm catching up, okay? All right. Does anybody give their gnomes names? Like, I don't know, I thought that would be super cool to give him a name, but I am not very good at naming things. Okay, just make it as level as you can so we don't have to. Okay. Yes. All right, let's dry this, because if we do not, paint's gonna start pooling, and that's not fun. No, Mio. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I need to see who said that. Hold on. Okay, Lori, how soon is the replay available? So, normally the next day. simply because when the video is done, I need to upload it into my computer, and then I need to upload it onto YouTube. Okay, I'll take it back. Okay, so the Facebook Live is available right away. You can watch it in the group right away. So anytime. But if you want it on YouTube, that usually takes me. I usually do it the next morning. Okay, let us see. Okay, Nomeo, whiskers, never had named them. Interesting idea. Isn't that fun? Does it bubble after blow dry? I see bubbles on my end. No, it doesn't bubble. If it's bubbling, then your blow dry is too hot. You need to be moving your whatever it is you're using super fast. You see how like I never stop at one, I never pause. Like my thing is always moving. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, let's paint his nose. So for his nose, we are going to use, well, you can really use some of this brown if you wanted to, but I'm just gonna grab some white, a touch of quinacridone magenta, and I mean a touch, not a lot, just a touch. Okay, and a touch of yellow ochre. All right, so this is what I have. And every time I do this, I tell myself, don't do that because you're going to put your hand in it. And I still do that. Okay, so we don't need a lot of paint for this. So we're going to grab some white, touch of yellow ochre, mix. It's like mixing your own toner for makeup. Yeah, and then a touch of magenta. And once you have it at the tone that you like, you go ahead and you paint his nose and his hand. The hand is the tricky one sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. So let's paint his nose first, and then I'll show you how I do the hand. Okay, so we have this first coat, and it's pretty apricot kind of color that I have here. And I'm gonna grab like a speck of, well, maybe a little bit more than a speck, like 2 specks of magenta. Put it on top, all right? And then I'm just gonna blend it into the top. It just adds a little bit of healthy pink color, okay? Now for the hands, I really like to use a small flat or a small filbert. I'm sorry, I think I'm gonna sneeze again. Ugh, that's so annoying. Okay, so his hand is kind of on top of his shoe and kind of behind. So it's like his hand is resting in his lap, right? And so we can't really see it very well. So what you can really see is the knuckles, because like his hand is folded a little bit, yeah, like a resting position. So you're just gonna draw something like this. Yeah, and then like his thumb is somewhere here. Okay, and the fun part about this hand is the fact that it's gonna still be mostly covered by his beard. Okay, and then you kind of extend it out, and then that's the sleeve, and like, yeah. Okay. How we're doing? Tilt. Yep. Ah, that's the thing, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna tilt super quick just to show you the hand. Here. Can you see it now? Okay. And now, guys, while you're catching up, I'm gonna do what I really don't like doing. I'm gonna do a reset real quick. And I apologize. I really like to have the setup before, but okay, so just bear with me. Okay. So, because it's kind of hard for you to see what I'm doing, and I think this way would be better. Okay, I'm gonna move the camera, okay? Cords. Okay. Now let's see if this is better, okay? Okay, tell me. Oh, well, thank you, Judy. I appreciate it. Okay, and it looks like connection is getting funky and fuzzy, doesn't it? Is it getting fuzzy on your end? Did I say Debbie? I meant Jody. I don't know why I said Debbie. Okay, hold on. gotten fuzzy. Okay, hold on, give me just a second, okay? All right, right here, I'm trying to figure it out. Just a second. Oh, hold on a second. I'm sorry. It looks like my wife is not wanting to do what it needs to do. Okay, I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or if it's the StreamYard. Let's try. I'm gonna try something here real quick. Okay. All right, let's try again. Thank you. I don't know what's going on. Hmm. So my camera seems to be fine. Yeah. Did they get it? Okay, it looks better. Let's keep painting, and if nothing else, we can always restart, and I can always restart. I don't know about if it's the weather or anything. I just noticed that usually about an hour in, things starting to get funny here. Like, and it was the same thing. Same thing happened in Texas, so I can say, you know, if it's Texas or something else, or if it's here or there, I don't know. It's just something. All right, I'm gonna paint his the bottom of his feet, the boots, black, and I'm just gonna use my flat brush. No, you know what? I could have used. I'm gonna use the larger size because it's gonna take forever. Okay. I will look up in a second and see how the video quality is. Okay, seems to be getting there. Maybe not the perfect, but it's there. Okay. And then just dry your brush on a paper towel, just the same brush. Turn it to a chisel tip, like a sharp, flat tip. Okay. Grab a little bit of white and then go around the shoe a little on one side, like both shoes. And then kind of like that for the little heels. Okay. Broken lines. All right. Okay, let's make some green, or you can use whatever green you like. Let's paint his hat. So to mix, we're gonna use, I'm gonna grab a clean one. So to mix, we're going to use some phthalo blue. Not a lot. Okay. And yellow ochre. Probably more, because we're gonna need quite a bit. Okay, and I'm gonna have some lemon yellow on here. And you will see why. All right. So first of all, we're gonna mix like pretty much half and half. Half of yellow ochre and half of phthalo blue. And that makes a very nice green color. Okay, and then I'm going to add some of this lemon yellow to that. Just kind of lighten it up a little. More. We need more. So you might want to use colors like if you have your own greens and that's what you want to use, chartreuse or lime green is also a really pretty color, works with spraying. Emerald green, lemon yellow, I just told you there's another one green, I don't remember. Yellow green, I think it's called. So you can use any color. Bigfoot. Totally Bigfoot. Okay, love it. Let's move on. Ooh. Okay, good size brush. So I'm gonna use this one on the bottom. And again, please do use colors as you like, colors that you like, okay? So if you wanna do something different, go for it. That's the fun of it, especially with gnomes. Okay. So the bottom and then the one over here. So I'm going to skip one. I'm going to skip one level. Okay. And then I'm going to take some of this green and just going to add a whole lot of this lemon yellow with it. Lighten it up, that green. And then I'm going to use that to paint the rest of the hat. Just for the fun of it, right? All the way down, all the way up. And there we are. And he has a hat. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit more of phthalo blue. Good, a lot more. Didn't need that much. Oh, gonna grab some of this blue directly on my brush and add it to this green that we used on the hat. I'm looking for very dramatic green, you know? Oh, that's more like turquoise. Let's add some yellow to this. Yeah, here we go. That's a cool color for a shirt, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and paint his sleeve, going all the way up to his hand. All right. Okay. Now at this point, we're gonna let this dry and we're gonna use all these greens that we have here. I'm gonna drop some more yellow, lemon yellow on this to just, whoa, a lot. To just create different shades of green. So fun. Okay, we're gonna paint some of the leaves, okay? The leaves of the flowers that grow in the bottom there. So just a flat brush, okay? Gonna chisel tip. And I'm gonna start at the top where I want my leaf to end. Now, if you have the tracer, you can just trace them. But I'm just gonna go ahead and add. So, and then I grab some lemon yellow and go on the same leaf. I just want to add some leaves right now. Maybe some from here. Maybe some up there. Just like that. I think my leaves are going to be much bigger. But that's okay. Just a little bit of lemon yellow right on top. On his shoe. There. And then a little bit more of lemon yellow to just kind of add this fresh greenery. Yeah? Okay. So the beard should be dry, so we can go ahead and play with that. Let's paint that beard. All right. Let me check if there's any questions out there because I can't see from here. Fuzzy, okay. Yes, I use the same big brush that I used on feet for the leaves, but you guys, of course, can use brushes of your choice, whatever works. Okay? I really like painting with a big brush. Okay. The beard. I'm gonna use white, black, and a little bit of phthalo blue. Tiny, a touch of black. Okay. So clean brush, the same kind of bigger size flat that I have. Chisel tip. Okay. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use it on the tip like this, holding upright, and I'm gonna start adding streaks of different value of grays, whites, and light blues to fill in his beard. Okay, so I'm gonna start with white because we already have a whole lot of gray here. Just kind of gonna fill it in around his nose. Ooh. Okay. If you happen to put a little bit of white on that hat and the hat is dry already, you can just go back with a baby wipe and lift it, like I did. Okay, so again, mostly white, a tiny speck of phthalo blue on your brush. Okay, and if it's too blue, it's okay, we can tone it down. This is definitely a little bit too blue than what I want it to do, but that's okay. And I'm covering his hand a little because his beard is everywhere. Okay, now more white to work with that, kind of tone down that blue a little bit. So I am putting it on his shoe. So don't worry about it because we're gonna come back and clean this up. But this way it's easier for you to add the strokes without stopping in the middle, okay? And again, more white, super tiny speck of black. That's the black specks. And we go again. So my cat is still doing well. As you can hear, he shows up while I'm doing lives and meows to tell everybody that he's a poor thing and nobody feeds him and nobody loves him. That's not true. Do not believe that cat. Do not believe him. Okay, cleaned up my brush. Gonna grab some black and kind of, fix those shoes where I made a mess. All right. I'm going to use this black on this brush. I'm going to wipe some off and make a little bit of gray. Well, kind of a little bit, but not a little bit. So let's put the bird. Who's ready for the bird? So this is how I do this. I want this bird sitting on his boot. And so I put like a smiley face, like a smile, right on there. See that? And then the back end of the smile goes a little bit higher. And then I go back. As I come back, I make a round. So it's almost like a comma. And then I return and shape and make sure that the bird is the shape that I want it to be. And I think it is. The beak. Okay, sometimes I like it to be a little bit more pronounced and sometimes not. It's kind of it's a personal preference. It's a doodle bird. Okay, let me see questions. Hi, Wayne the Tissue. Welcome to the Midwest. Yep. Some comments are just showing up and some comments are not showing at all. Okay, let me see over here. Suggestions for the video. Turn camera so your gnome isn't sideways. I can try. The problem with this is that not the whole thing won't fit the way I have it. Oh, I guess I can try and remember to move the camera, right? How's that? And that's your cat? I thought it was a child. Nope, it's my cat. It is most definitely my cat. All right. Okay, so my next step is going to be putting in snowdrops, flowers. Okay, so we're gonna have to make them gray first, and then we'll be able to do everything else. So we already have some gray on there in our palettes. I'm just kind of waking this up a little bit. It is super dry. Okay, so here we go, right? So this bird is bringing the flower. So I'm just gonna have to curve it a little bit different from the tracer for you guys, because like my birdie bird got a little bit bigger, and so we're gonna try and save Mr. Gnome's nose. Okay, so I'm just painting petals with white. Yeah, so I just did the stem and petals, and then I'm gonna go back down. Let's scooch this down to the bottom of the painting, and I'm gonna add some flowers to it. Like, let's say here's gonna be a flower. There's one. There's another. And another. So yeah, simply paint like 3 petals or 4 petals, whatever you want. Did I say I'm using the round brush? I got distracted with my cat and I forgot what I'm supposed to be saying. Okay. Another here. I really want to put one up here, so I'm just going to try and go. This one's going to go all the way up here. So look at your flowers and check if the tones are the same, because some of your flowers, like partially, are on the beard, on the shoes, at the same time, so the color won't show the way we want it to show. So let's block this. All right. And go back to this one. Okay. Okay. Have to leave, but I must. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Okay. So we're just gonna grab some pure white, just pure titanium white on a clean round brush. Okay. And we're just gonna start adding some pure white to our flowers. So I like to paint my central petal first, and then the outside petals go on top of that, and then there's this layered look. For petals. Central, the one in the middle, and then the other two around on the sides. There you go. All right. Okay, now we're gonna grab some more of this white, and at the base of your flower, where your flower meets the stem, just make like a little, it's like an oval, like this is what holds your flower together. Like that. Okay, rinse the brush, and we're gonna go back to where we have a little bit of green with lemon yellow, and we're gonna mix this light green color, and you're gonna paint this part that we just added, okay? And then it goes down the stem. Okay, and it also goes up into your flower a little bit. It's holding your petals up. So again, you paint this kind of thing that's holding it, and then from it, you're adding just adding little things, right, that they're holding that holds the flower together. Okay. Maybe grab a little bit of darker green on the same messy brush and put it on the bottom of the stem, like underneath the stem of every flower. Like, oh, that's a little bit too much. Like on the left hand side. And then like this one, that's going to be the bottom on this side. Like, see where the curve goes? And just add that to the bottom. A little bit of a darker green. Okay. And then you can rinse this out, and if you wanted to, you can add some more leaves. I'm using a small flat brush now. Before that, I used a big one. Now I'm using a small one, just grabbing some green and just adding leaves everywhere in random patterns and shapes. Doesn't matter. We're just making, this is dry, very good, because then I can add another leaf over here. Another there. Okay. How are we doing? How's everybody doing? I see somebody said I'm putting shamrock. As I said, comments are hopping in like in weird ways. Okay. Now I'm scooching my camera back up so that we have the view of the bird. And the bird is going to be lemon yellow. So just, yeah, I'll make it a clean spot. Just grab some lemon yellow. And paint. Okay. So I'm intentionally leaving this space like that. Once I paint the beak, you will see what I'm doing. So look and see what I'm doing before painting the beak, because if you paint it then it, like if you don't paint it right, it would be super hard to cover it up with yellow, because black, black is hard to cover up. So there is like this. So there is the beak. Right here, see, like this part right here. See, it's like a letter M over here. Yeah. So it's like the beak goes into the head, but then the head overlaps the beak a little bit. See what I mean? And then I'm going to use the wrong side of my brush, the wrong end. I'm going to dip it into black. And I'm going to put it right here for his eye. And I'm going to grab a little bit of quinacridone because I need to mix a little bit of orange. Oh, you know what? We could use the, never mind that. I'm sorry. I forgot that I have the yellow ochre right here. That's what I used for the outline and the wing. So I'm just adding a little bit of water to it to make it more usable. So the wing, I just go with a smile and a curlicue. It's like a smile and a curlicue, and that's the wing. For the tails, I start at the top and I go with the curlicue and I just go down. It's easier for me to make it curvy. And then maybe another one here, do the same, bring it into the same spot. And one more here. Okay. And then I'm going to outline his body. Okay. And I'm going to use this paint to add a little bit of highlights to the tree. Not much needed because we don't have much of a tree here left, right? See how things happened? Yeah. Okay. Clean up the brush. Get your pure white on the same round brush. Goes pure white. We're gonna highlight the hat. So I'm pretty much just kind of adding cute lines. Just broken lines. Kind of helps to see what's going on. Yeah, right here. Outline his elbow. Okay, I like to put a highlight on top of his nose, like that. And sometimes it makes sense to add a little bit of highlight to the plants. It just kind of gives them extra life, a little bit of a white highlight for the birdie, and maybe a couple of highlights for the beard. If the beard seems to be... Okay, my dog just stole something. Cooper, come here. Come here. Come here. Yeah, we're still in boxes. I'm still unpacking, so I have a whole bunch of random things laying around. So the dog sometimes would get them. All right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and grab a marker, a Sharpie, whatever you use, and sign your painting, because this is it. We're all done. Mesmerized just watching you. We'll do more on this tomorrow, as I have to take my pup for a walk. Enjoying that. Thank you. So amazing to watch you paint, Luba. I'm back. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, so I hope everybody had fun. I apologize for fuzzy quality. It's something that I have no control over, and sadly, something that we'll have to deal with. Oh, his name is Mr. Spring. Oh, how cute. I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? Let me get back. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna just close that. Hi, here we are again. So I'm just gonna try in hopes that just one camera goes better. So this is what we painted. Post it in the group, okay? Share in the group. I want to see your paintings. I love seeing your paintings. And where's my book? Here's my book. And I think in 2 weeks, yes, in 2 weeks, we're painting tulips in a cup. What's it called? Spring blooms, I think I called it. It's in the events, so you can find it there. And this one is going to be our next one. I think that's it, right? If you are, I don't remember, but like if you are in my level 2 membership, this is the level 2 membership painting that's going to be uploaded hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully it will be, it's getting there. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. If you would like to buy me a coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee.com and then /Luba Carlson. And, you know, I need to drink a lot of coffee to keep going. So anyway, I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.